Okay. This thing comes through the center. It's my dog proofer. Then, if you want to finish it, I might as well. Finish for a second. Incidentally, these are getting hard to get. I don't know if I'm buying so many of them. All the stores that supply me around. Every time I go, I buy them all.
Check PetSmart. PetSmart.
Same pump?
Right.
Good. I'll do it. I tie this on here. I'm going to do it, just kind of fake it today. And I do it so I can look under here, and that bag is hanging in the water, but off the ground. The more circulation you've got, the better off you are. Now, what I usually do is every time I walk by, I show I just kind of move it around more for the first 6 or 8 hours. In that bag now, I'm going to have my favorite to begin with is the Earthworm Castings. I almost always use some Earthworm Castings. I use good finished compost. Now, you can use, they used to make a thing called manure tea, raw manure. I don't know if you want to put it on your vegetables or not. It doesn't scare me at all. But you might not want to use raw manure. There is a chance, especially if you know your manure, if it's your animals, you're probably pretty clean. But who knows what went through a commercial cow or a commercial chicken. I don't. Mine are on property that has not had herbicides, pesticides, or anything for 13 years now. I'll use my own manure. I'm not afraid of it from the ranch. So you put that in the bag, you put about a pound, a double handful. We used to put, even Howard Garrett, much as I love my friend Howard, he would just spend a couple of days with me this week, his website's all wrong. Don't do what it says. He's filling this in third full of manure and letting it just sit there and stirring it once a day for 14 days. It's not the same, folks. It's a good chance that's going to go anaerobic. It's a good chance you're going to get bad guys in there. I recommend it. I want aeration. Now, I leave that bag in there 8 or 10 hours.
That's it.
Then I take it out.
How high is the water level?
I get it to about there, just so it won't bubble out. And then I take it out, I take those little air stones out, untie the bag and drop them back in. I go and dump that compost somewhere and use it again. All I've done is knock some bugs off of it. I haven't hurt the compost. So it's still good compost. Okay. And then I let it sit overnight. 24 hours, 36 hours, somewhere in there. The warmer it is, the less time you let it sit.
Aerating?
Aerating the whole time. The aerated to use it at 86 or so degrees. A lot of the good bacteria we like reproduce every 14 minutes. Add that up in 24 hours. At cooler temperatures, it slows down considerably. At about 53 or so, they almost are not really, they're mostly just hanging out. So you want to be ideally about 70. Yes?
You and Bob had mentioned aerating the water before putting anything in.
Yes, the one thing that you want to do in the city, and I always forget this, folks, because I don't live in the city. You want to aerate your water a couple hours before you make your tea, because the chlorine will go out. It will oxidize.
I understand they're not using chlorine anymore. Is that chloramine that doesn't...
In one part of our city right now, they're using chloramine, and they're going to be using their city, not my city. You're right. And if they move to chloramine, there's a chemical you can buy at aquarium stores to get it out. But Elaine Ingham says it's still not good. It still leaves the water with a lot more headache than none. So you're better off with well water. Oh, and incidentally, spring water, which we thought not spring, but distilled water, is pretty bad too. It's got nothing in it. There's nothing for the bugs to hold on to. There's no minerals in the water. There's no suspended solids. So even distilled is not a good idea. I will tell you the rest of the tea story so you'll know that Malcolm and I cheated. When we both won, everybody said we cheated. There was a pond in front of this place. And what they said is make the best damn tea you make. And they told us that. So I just went and got buckets full of pond water. Well, the rest of them used city water from Austin. Duh. They said, well, we cheated because we didn't use the same water. I said, hey, the pond's out there. Malcolm and I got a big laugh out of it. He didn't say not to use pond water. You said make the best tea you knew how to make. Well, I immediately thought, I'm in Austin, Texas. I don't even drink their water. Why the heck would I try to feed it to my microbes? So I went and dipped the water out of the pond, made my pond, and I'm certain that it didn't hurt the number of bugs. So try to use it. At worst, if you don't want to bubble this thing a few hours, set the water in the day before and just leave it. Better still, Even if you don't want to do water catchment for anything else, get one 50-gallon drum and catch enough off your house to have rainwater sitting there. Be wonderful for this. Now, the other problem you've got is if you put it out with a hose-in sprayer, guess what's running the hose-in sprayer? Chlorinated water. I don't know how to fix that very easily.
Fluoridated too.
Say?
Yeah.
Fluoridated.
And fluoridated, yeah, two good things that are really not good for you at all. Pardon the pun, both shoved down our throats.
Well, we have we make a pool for our dog. It's one of those black plastic ponds, and it does sit there a while. And I do get a green, that green
Dog water.
stuff. That's good.
Yeah, you got lots of dirt on here. Doing some new studies, having nothing to do with this, but it has a lot to do with this. And we've been, for the last 40 or 50 years, trying to see how much we can sterilize the earth. You drink pasteurized, homogenized milk, which isn't good for you. You have antibacterial soaps, which isn't good for you. There's a study to prove it. We wash our dogs with antibacterial liquid, detergents. We wash our clothes. And we're doing ourselves more harm than good. There's a great study out about children now called the hygiene theory. And I put it in simple language. It's really good for your kid to sleep on his dog once in a while. It's really good for your kid to eat some dirt and crawl around the dirt. There's a significant difference, third or 23 or 24% of kids raised with pets in the house not having the asthma and having allergies of the kids that didn't have any pets around. Now, that will sound like the pet's very valuable, but evidently he brings enough vermin in there to get your kids kind of, the clock's ticking a little bit. You take these kids that have been raised, I call them latchkey kids, and all they do is live on a carpet at home in the formaldehyde, which is in all the carpets, and then turn them loose in kindergarten and they're sick as hell for about 2 years. They catch everything coming down the pipe because they've never been exposed to anything. You need to be exposed. Us, most of us, I'm looking at our crowd, some younger people here, we didn't know. My mom made me bathe. If I didn't, I don't think I'd have bathed very often. She'd just line up with 5 boys and had to take a bath. Well, not every day. You could cheat, you could get me laid. Anyway, the whole compost tea thing, still the same philosophy is the same. It is good for your soil, it's good for your plants, you can spray it on your plants, you can soak your soil with it. You can't really do bad. You don't need a $1,000 microscope and a bunch of stuff. Smell it. If it smells rich and earthy, probably pretty rich and earthy. If it smells like vomit, it's probably vomit. I probably shouldn't put it in. Smells like urine, it's probably ammonia and it's going to burn your plants. But if you put that amount in there and you keep it aerated, do you use it, and it smells good, whether you've used the compost I want, I throw a little molasses in there when it's not too warm to feed the bugs. Sometimes I put fish milk in there. Believe it or not, if you want fungal for like deciduous trees, oatmeal is great for fungus. Kelp is great to make fungus out of. There's a lot of things. Rye, wheat hulls. All good things to make funguses grow. Where do you get your fungus from? I have a little mound of where I keep my stuff, and when I take the top layer off, it's white with fungus. And I take a handful of that mixed with my earthworms. I take a handful of mixed with John Drumgold's got a real good compost right now that works real good in this thing. Number one, best compost is what you do at your home yourself with your stuff, because that's where your bugs are. And I know you can bring them in, there's the stuff you can buy from Alaska. I'm sure it does some good to make your bugs, but do you really think the same bacteria and microbes that are healthy for us down here are the same ones that are living in Alaska where it never gets above 50 degrees soil? Probably not. I don't think it's any harm. But I think it's kind of silly to bring microbes from Alaska. First, shipping, it's kind of crazy, shipping compost around the world. We got our own crap, we don't need theirs. And secondly, it's very expensive. Any questions about this, or just general gardening? Yes.
For the viewers at home, could you give a timeline again of for the compost for the whole brew cycle?
All right, I put it in pound and a half. Leave it about 8 to 10 hours. I pull the bag, take the bag apart, put the air stones back in, and let it cook. Brew might be a better term, for at least 24 hours. There's some of the commercial saying do it in 12, but I've done microscope readings on 12, and they're not very loaded yet. The other good thing about this is I just did this same, different show, the same idea at Cooper's Garden in Floresville last week. 2 or 3 people showed up with their tea. Only one of them had good tea. But none of them had bad tea. It was very cool that morning. They didn't start it until 12 hours before. It didn't have a time to build up. Cooper didn't have as good a one as the people that he taught. I thought that was hilarious. But The good news is, even the little bacteria they had in there was still more helpful than just water. It was still a very good idea. Go ahead and use it. It's not going to harm anything.